Today we're going to be jumping in and doing one of my favorite homemade dog food recipes, and we're going to be using venison meat. I'm Danielle of the Split Arrow Farm, and welcome to our channel where we give you new content every Wednesday and Sunday about how we're turning our home into a homestead and small farm, and you can learn from what we do so you can create your own homestead and farm. Now, today we're going to be talking about creating your own homemade dog food using venison. So I love using venison because Chris, my fiance and almost husband, actually catches his own deer, and we're able to use that meat free of charge to make food for our pups. And we have two Australian shepherds. I'll throw a picture up of them on right now, but we really love to be able to reuse some of the meat that we have there and repurpose it into food. Some other pros here are it's going to cut down on a lot of costs because we can use some of that meat. But if you are choosing to purchase maybe ground turkey, ground chicken, beef, or anything of the likes, you can purchase that from a store. And another great benefit of creating your own food is you know exactly what's in it. There is no mystery behind it. You know where the meat is coming from, and you're able to really create the food that your dog needs. Now, I am going to provide a link down below because there are so many different combinations that you can mix into your recipes. We're going to be doing one of my favorite concoctions, so we'll walk through that. But depending on any of your dog's likes, diet, nutrition, or goals, you might want to look at the attachment down below, the link down below, so that you can see what's going to be the best foods for your dog and their needs. Now, we're gonna head into the kitchen in just a bit, but my last benefit of creating your own dog food is we found that our dogs love it, and I know that yours are going to too. Now, we're gonna head into the kitchen and talk through some of the supplies that we're gonna be using today, and then we're gonna go ahead and actually walk through step by step how I create some of our dog food. So let's get going. Now we're going to talk about all of the supplies that you're going to be needing to create your own homemade dog food. First off, you're going to want to make sure that when you're creating this dog food, that all of the pieces and the items that you're putting into the dog food are in small pieces. This way, there are no choking hazards that you're going to be giving to your pups. So the first item is going to be a food processor. I have this small Cuisinart that's going to be perfect for the job, and I'll link it down below in case you're interested in getting one as well because they are mighty. But you can also use a blender, a like shredder piece, or just cut the items into the proper sizing. Just make sure that they're small enough sizes that they aren't going to choke. Next up, we're going to need some measuring cups. So we are going to be measuring out some of the ingredients. So you'll want to make sure that you can get the right proportions of everything. Now, this is cooking, so you can eyeball things as well, but I like to throw that in to make sure that everyone's prepared. Lastly, we're going to need a nice size pan. I like this one because it's nice and thick. So not only can you use it as, say, a skillet, but you can also get the recipe in there and really cook it up because this is going to be a nice thick recipe and it's going to be very hearty. Now we're going to talk through some of the ingredients that we're going to be using in today's recipe. First off, you're going to want to pick your protein. So like I said before, I'm going to be using venison. This is a 2-pound ground venison baggie. So you're going to want to choose 2 pounds of whatever meat you choose. So venison is definitely going to be harder to get if you are not hunting deer. So if you are heading to your grocery store, you can choose to pick out any other ground meat that you have, as well as using any supplies from your farm, rabbit, chicken, anything that's going to be safe and that your dog's going to enjoy. The last item that you're going to want to be adding to this recipe is going to be a grain or something that can really create a hearty, more filling addition to the recipe. I'm going to be using some brown rice, but you can also use noodles, and I'll include some other alternatives down below if you do want to switch this up as you try it from week to week. Now, this food is going to last around 5 to 7 days if you're keeping it in the refrigerator, and around 3 months in the freezer. So if you want to section it up and put extra in the freezer, that's going to do perfect as well. But let's get into the cooking, and then we'll give our pups some dinner so they can test it out and be our taste testers. Now I've gone ahead and put 2 cups of water in a pot. Once it starts to boil, then we're gonna add in 1 cup of rice, and we're gonna let that cook up. And that will give us around 3 cups of cooked rice. And this is gonna be our carb or grain that we're adding into our meat. Once this is around halfway cooked, then I'm gonna start to do the ground meat. So we're gonna give this a little bit of time because rice usually takes around 30 minutes. This is not instant, so it's gonna take a little bit longer. While our rice is starting to cook, I'm gonna go ahead and chop up our vegetable. So what I'm gonna do is chop it down into smaller pieces, and then I'm gonna stick it into the food processor to really grind it up into smaller pieces. While I'm cutting some of this up, I just want to quickly talk about some of the other items that I've added to this recipe in the past. Now, I have done carrots and I've done spinach, and carrots are highly nutritious for pups. They love them, and my dogs honestly can't get enough of them. I've done spinach. Spinach isn't as highly nutritious, so I'd say don't give too large of mixtures within spinach. I've also seen cranberries being used, so that's kind of a cool way to get rid of some of those, or to use some of those up and give it probably a sweeter taste for your pup. And then there are a bunch of different spices that you can actually use. So that again is in the AKC link. So I definitely suggest mixing it up just like you do with your own food and really giving yourself a variety. You can do that with your pups. Now, something else that I've done, if you do currently have dog food in your house that you don't want to just switch from what you're making, and instead be able to use some of the food that you have instead of wasting it, what I'll do is I'll actually make this dog food, and then I'll use it as a topper on their food. So instead of just all of their food being this dog food, it will be a topper on top of it. Okay, one more piece to cut out, and then I think we're done with this and we can start to cook up our meats. Now, another thing that you're gonna wanna think about is serving size. So this recipe is again for 2 Australian Shepherds. I have a 20-pound pup and a 40-pound pup. So we go through this food pretty quickly, but the ratio that you're gonna wanna keep is around 1 cup per day for every 10 pounds. So each of our dogs are getting a little more than a cup per day. So think about that when you're doing up your recipe, and I like to do it on Sundays when I'm already meal prepping some of my other meals, which is great because then you kind of get it all done at the same time, and then I'll just stick it in a refrigerator and they will definitely eat it cold. You don't have to heat it up, but you can heat it up a little bit. Just make sure that you let it cool down so they don't burn their mouths on it, but they're gonna love it. Now I'm going to finish up chopping up the rest of the zucchini, and then we're gonna go cook the venison and make sure that it is fully cooked through before we add in any of the vegetables. Okay, so I've been letting the meat cook a little bit, and I went to go to the bathroom, came back, and the pups are literally sitting. They know that we're making food for them. Max, are you waiting for your dinner? You say, yes, this is my food, my food. Okay, so the meat is done, so we're gonna go ahead and add the veggies in, and we're gonna let this cook for a couple more minutes here, and then we're gonna go ahead and add in the rice, and we're gonna add 2 cups of water, and we're gonna let that simmer down for a couple minutes. Once everything is mixed in and been cooked for a little while, then we can cool and serve to the pups. So I'll see you guys in probably around 30 minutes once I've added all of the ingredients in and let this cool. Okay, it is time for the moment of truth. Will the dogs like the meal or not? Let's see. Just leave it. Okay. Okay. guys enjoyed this homemade dog food recipe, and I hope that your pups do as well. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this content and subscribe so that you can join our journey, and we'll see you guys again next week. Bye. Oh my gosh, I brought the meat out and they are just feeling it.